Hey guys, welcome back to Accursed Brew. My name is Azriel.
And I'm Anthony. Today we're going to be doing a quick first impressions on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Azzy and I have been playing it for probably about how many hours would you say you're in?
I think I'm like 10 to 12 hours. I'm like getting pretty consistent at putting about 10 to 12 hours in for these.
Yeah, I'm about the same. I think that's pretty much what we're aiming for going forward for first impressions. But yeah, we're just going to go over things real quick. How are you enjoying it?
Uh Honestly, man, I think the game is phenomenal. I definitely had my qualms with the first one. Really just the combat. I didn't really care for the save system, but like I guess it's doable. But the combat, man, really killed it for me. I got about halfway through in terms of just like overall quest count for the first one. Like, if you took
Hmm.
like the main story and you cut it in half, I got like halfway through.
Yeah.
And it yeah, I couldn't do it. I didn't have it in me. I felt like I was just constantly getting my ass beat. Things felt unresponsive. It felt like I was glitching through people. It just didn't. It felt like there was so much of the game that was really refined and like had a lot of attention to it that like the combat was just overlooked. Um, whereas in this, after having attended to all those other things besides combat in the first game, they carried it over to the second. Had time to look at the combat for the second one. Um, and yeah, now it's just exceptional. I mean, shit, I don't really have any. I still don't like the save system, but like beyond that, love the game, have no qualms with it. You know, it's fucking insane, dude. Really great
I
stuff.
agree. I agree with like every single thing you said. I truly there's so much about the first game that I truly loved. I had some qualms. I didn't like lockpicking. The pickpocketing system was a little weird to get used to, but once I got used to it, I did enjoy it. And then the combat was just not for me. I don't like the directional thing. I don't know. I didn't like having to learn my combos and everything. It felt like I was playing Mortal Kombat instead of like a RPG. Um, and this one, like, there's like it's like three button combos pretty much for most of the attacks. Like if you want to do a specific something, and it's they removed what I mean. It depends on the weapon too. They changed how the weapons, like how you attack with different weapons. Like a mace isn't going to have the same star that a sword has, and they're going to do different things. So I feel like there's a lot more depth in combat now, even though they've removed some of the buttons, if that makes sense. And I enjoy it way more. I mean, everything else in the game too. Like it has everything that I loved about the first game, and taken all those things and made them better.
Yeah, it's kind of insane how they were able to do that. You know, I don't know if you remember like the early days of Kingdom Come Deliverance before like it came out. They had all those dev diaries about all the work they were putting into like the system of how people were like waking up, doing work,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yes.
It definitely felt like that. Again, like I said earlier, like all their attention was to that sort of thing. The world building, the making things feel realistic, the mechanics in it being realistic, the characters like doing what real people would do. And then yeah, this was just like a culmination of all the good work that they did there, plus you know however many years in between the two releases to really iterate on the pieces that weren't necessarily up to snuff. Um,
100%. That was their first game. Like Kingdom Come
yeah,
Deliverance 2 was a crowd-funded game, and it was this studio's first game. For it to be as big as it was, and even though it's not one of the biggest games ever, but in niche gaming communities, that thing went crazy.
oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
a lot of people that I really respect their gaming opinions on love that game. It's one of their favorite games of all time. And it just never clicked with me because of the combat, but I loved everything they tried to do. I think, like you said, this is a culmination. This is the game that they tried to make the first time, but they either didn't have the budget, experience, time. It was crowdfund. There was a lot of things. It was their first time. They did a lot better this time, and they learned a lot from their first game, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely it's like when you give devs that love what they're doing, that love their craft, that love the story they're trying to tell, the world that they're in. When you give those devs that have the passion, funding and like
Yep.
these different
Time,
studios to
money,
do this work in,
experience.
yeah, when you
Yep.
give them that, it's like you create like what in my opinion is like a love letter to gamers, to like people who
Yes.
enjoy open world games, who love that realistic aspect of them. I mean, it's like the same thing with Baldur's Gate. They had the success from Divinity and things like that, then they got picked up, or then they what's it called, god, I can't even remember the Wizards of the Coast or whatever, whoever,
Yeah. Yeah.
or is that Magic?
Hasbro.
Yeah,
But yeah,
whoever
Wizards of the
has
Coast
like
was
yeah, whoever
Dungeons and
has
Dragons rights. Yeah.
yeah, whoever has that IP Yeah, they picked that up, probably had some funding and things like that, and they were able to absolutely deliver on it because that was something that I'm sure all of them grew up having played, or at least as adults having checked out and things like that. They love fantasy and so on. It's just like a similar thing. You give people who have the passion, money, and time, and this is what you get. You get a masterpiece of a game. Um, I don't know. It's just nice. I have nothing but
Yeah,
glowing things to say about it. So,
that's the thing. That's the thing. It's still early for us, but I think it's safe to say that we both love it. And while we appreciated the first game, we were both very lukewarm on the first game. So they've fixed all my issues with the first game. I'm. I think it's wonderful. I think everybody should definitely try this game if you have any interest in being a medieval peasant, like as he spent his entire playthrough doing so far.
oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
he's literally. I got a message earlier. He was like, "Yeah, I want to be a blacksmith in Tokov or something like that." And another friend said, "Oh, by the way, if you wear the craftsman apron and the gloves, you get boosts to your stats. So make sure you're using those early." And he goes, "Oh, I didn't know that, but I was doing that anyway."
Yeah,
Like he
bro,
just
you got
dressed
to
up as
role
a
play, dude.
blacksmith. Exactly. Like that's what this game does really well is it makes you feel like really connected to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to kind of jump in on that too, it's my specific path in the story is as soon as you kind of get free reign to do whatever you want, like they kind of just get you out of the prologue into like the main game itself. They immediately give you like two paths, and the paths that I took, or the path that I took rather, was the blacksmith one. And I started working with him because that sounded fun. That sounded cool. Like, fuck it, like why
Yeah.
not? Like I want to go make a weapon. Like, cool. And that's sort of my playthrough so far has been in conjunction with that. I'm not sure if the other path would have led you where I've ended up anyways. But where I went to, the quests felt really nice. They felt really like logical, like they made sense. Obviously, in games like this, people are going to be really eager to like trust you to like do things and to bring you in on things. I mean, it's just a consequence of games in general. So it's like the only weird kind of thing is like everybody wants me included. But regardless, like those quests felt really cool, really nice. They had like nice setups. The characters felt really cool to be interacting with, and the stories
The
that they were telling
characters
were
the characters
interesting.
are incredible. The characters are absolutely incredible. I mean, obviously, if you've played the first game, you know Hans. The prologue is basically entirely with him, and the voice acting, the banter between characters, it feels the writing and the voice acting and performances all feel so natural. It feels like an actual conversation happening, or they're realistically reacting to things happening around them. It doesn't feel video gamey.
Yeah, that's a big thing about it is that it feels like you're less playing a game and more you're kind of just like playing through a movie. Um, because the voice acting in it, I mean, it's phenomenal. And seeing like NPCs very like they're varied. Like one of the
I'll be with
barmaids,
you.
yeah, like one of the barmaids at the place that you and Hans kind of get into a little tussle, or yeah, tussle was kind of the word, right? Like a little fight
Yeah.
with some other folk. The barmaid was like a very unique looking character, and then this other woman came by, and she looked very unique as well. Everybody just feels really unique, and like it's not like I know Skyrim is a super old game, right? Granted, it is, but it's not like you're always seeing like the same kind of physical shape of like a male Nord or a female Nord or whatever the case, right? Everybody looks very distinct.
All of the characters look like real people as well.
Yeah.
Uh, or the shading on their face, the minor details of people not being entirely symmetrical. I don't know if they scanned everybody into the game or what, but it does have that feel of all of these people look like they should look, and you know what I mean? Like they look like a human being.
Yeah, I feel like they probably did scan them in. I mean,
Yeah,
they look so good and their voices feel like they make a lot of sense out of the mouths they're
yeah,
coming out of that I would be very surprised if they didn't use their exact likeness, they used something very close to it. Because maybe somebody was
yeah,
like, I don't want myself 100% in the
yeah.
game.
100.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But yeah, it's pretty damn close. But no, I mean, like to kind of pivot from that too into just the rest of the visuals of the game, seeing the sun rise or sunset over like a hill, um, the shadows, the on the grass, on the trees, on the buildings.
Lighting's incredible. The coloring choices that they use, it all feels natural. Like the colors look natural. The grass has hints of yellow and brown throughout it. Like it's a really beautiful game.
It's like a fucking treat to
Yeah,
just look
it
at,
really
like
is. Like
um
riding your horse through the forest.
yeah, like that. It feels so fucking cool, especially as the sun is setting and you start to see like it breaking through the trees and things like that. And the paths are it's bright in some spots, dark in others. Like, of course, it's going to be the case in like a lot of games, but it just there's something special about the way they did the lighting in this one. Yeah, I don't know. It's really fucking beautiful. The fidelity is
RTX
like
on.
high. Yeah, I mean, if RTX on fucking maximum ultra god mode or whatever, like it
I
it
mean,
it
you're
looks
okay.
phenomenal.
Speaking of RTX God mode, like you've been running it on pretty much max everything, right?
I think I'm pretty sure it's literally max everything. Yeah, at like 1440p max everything.
Yeah. And how's the performance for you?
I mean, this shit's like butter, bro. And that's another
Yeah.
thing too is that like it's not that they just iterated on like the mechanics of the game, right? So like the combat, like we mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
but I didn't play KCD when it released the first one, but from my understanding, that game was broken as fuck. Like it was crashing, it was having all types of performance issues, things like that. I've had one infinite loading screen, which is understandable. I mean, it's PC gaming, it happens.
It was day one. I think it launched like 4 hours prior to that or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. So like I'm
Yeah.
not like I get it. Shit happens. I'm
Yeah.
not like gonna freak out about it. But I mean, compared to what I've heard about other games and things, or the first game rather, um, I mean, this is nothing like that. This game runs really well. I've seen zero glitches. Only that one infinite loading screen. Beyond that, the thing has looked. I mean, it's just run like absolute
Yeah.
fucking butter.
Textures look great. I haven't noticed any glitching textures or anything,
Yeah,
which
like
is
no
actually
popping.
really impressive for an open world RPG. Like that's the thing about like when like Skyrim is like known for just being goofy. Like open world RPGs have goofy things happen, and I really haven't had anything like that too much.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I would say this is very close to, I wouldn't say on the same level, but very close to the same level as Veilguard was. For all the faults that that game had, the one thing that they absolutely fucking killed on was the performance of it.
Yes,
It
the
was
optimization was incredible.
one of the most refined games I think I've ever played. Like it was right out the gate perfect. Like they didn't need to do anything for it. I was again 1440p, 144 FPS max. It's the only game I've played maxed out RTX. I didn't have to turn on DLSS 4. It was
Yeah,
just running fucking great. But yeah, again, that's on its own level. This game is close, is what we're trying to say.
yeah.
Beautiful. But on top of that, too, the settings that the game offers to you, the sort of liberty that it gives to you, is very nice. I gotta admit, it's really cool seeing games give you a lot of options to kind of customize the way the game looks visually. It's
Mhm.
not the most I've ever seen, but it's damn far away from the least I've ever seen too. Some games
Yeah.
super restrictive, but this gives you a lot of breathing room, which is really cool to see. So again, big fan of that. I think the only other thing I guess I wanted to reiterate on was the combat. Um, we did speak about it a bit earlier, but to get like a little bit more in depth, again, like I felt like in the first one it was really sluggish. It didn't really
Yeah.
do a good job of kind of telling you, hey, you probably should practice with some other people. You should practice your bow. You should practice your sword and things like that. Um, I don't recall that ever being told to me when I was playing through it. I just did this like a few weeks ago, about a
Yeah.
month ago, actually. This game doesn't necessarily say that. Well, actually, you know what? I take that back. The reason why I was bringing that up is because this game, there's a good point of being like, hey, here's this swordsman you should go practice with and learn to do, tricks with, and blah blah blah. And then you
Yeah.
run across an archer on the side of the road, and he's like, hey, practice with me. We'll bet. We'll do this and that. Um, and I don't know. I really love that. I love taking away or condensing rather the middle and then the two bottom of the star that they had when you get into a fight, condensing that
Yes.
into one. It just makes it so much easier because I gotta be honest, man. When you're fucking swinging a sword in the first game and you're like, let me
And
fucking
trying to
angle my
focus on
mouse.
blocking as well, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like it's a pain in the ass when you're trying to you're holding it up and then you try to drag it down to the bottom right and then he blocks that and you try to go to the left and you fuck up and now it's in the bottom left and it's just
And you
like
click too early, and now you're stabbing.
yeah, like it's just like, oh my God, like it was just so cumbersome. And then in this, like again, like they just simplified it. They made it so much easier. And the reason why I want to sit on the point for so long is because from my understanding, this was like a big issue a lot of people had was the combat. And it's something that
That was what I mean. I have friends. We both do have friends that like call us out for just being bad at video games, which fair, valid.
yeah.
But to me, it was a giant barrier to enjoyment when I loved everything else about the first game, and that like made me more angry at the combat than anything because it was preventing me from truly enjoying something that I liked.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be present in games, right? Like such an integral aspect of it being a barrier is not good. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just rough. It would be different if it.
Meanwhile, we like play the shit out of Elden Ring and everything.
That's the thing. That's exactly what I was about to say. Is that it's not so much that difficult combat's a problem; it's that janky combat is, and it felt really
Yes.
janky.
It didn't
Um,
it didn't feel good to play.
yeah,
It wasn't it's the same issue I have The Last of Us. The Last of Us 1, the first one, I didn't like the gunplay. It mechanically, I when I feel something's off mechanically, that will prevent me from enjoying the combat.
yeah, I totally agree. But all of that is to say, it's not present. It feels really good. It feels really responsive. Being able to block, attack, they block your attack, then they attack themselves and you block it, and you go back and forth, back and forth, back and
Yes.
forth, trying to switch up which direction you're hitting from here. It feels actually like strategic. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it feels really responsive. It feels like if I want to attack from the left, I'm going to do that. If I want to attack down, I'm going to do that. If I want to get a block in real quick and, whatever, it feels really good. It does take some getting used to. There is like a little bit of a what's it called? Like a curve to it, right? Like a skill curve.
Mhm.
And I'm confident that that skill curve goes up and down as the game progresses, as you switch weapons, as you run a shield, you don't run a shield, whatever the case is. But yeah, man, it's fucking fun. It's great because it's like, hey, here's this great game, 9 out of fucking 10, but that 1 point off is like killer. And then in this game, they make it just a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I truly think if you, I think closing statements, closing remarks here. If you liked the first game or wanted to like the first game, you will love this game.
yeah, exactly. It
You
has
did
all the
even if you
makings.
didn't like the first game, I think you should really give this one a shot. And they put up a great 10-minute long video, kind of recapping the first one's story. You could watch that and go right into it and not be missing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think you'd walk away from that with all the confidence that you need to pick this game up and have a great time. Is it worth your money? I think if we haven't convinced you enough already, I think it absolutely is, and then some. This is easily a game they could have priced a little bit higher and got away with it. But no, at 60 bucks,
Don't
it's a
tell them that.
steal.
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them
Yeah,
that.
don't tell them their product is worth a lot more than they're charging for.
No, just support them, and I mean, just support them. I think you should support them. That's all I'm going to say.
But no, they killed it. Absolute love letter to gamers. This is still early on in the year, starting it off really strong. Um, I
I
would
mean,
definitely,
February is going to be a banger month, brother. We'll see what happens.
yeah, no, it's
But
very
I
true.
agree. I agree. This so far is a shining point.
Yeah, definitely a game of the year contender for sure. Yeah, it's good stuff. But in any case, we have some more KCD2 stuff that we're going to be putting out here in about a week. I hope you guys check that out when it does come out. But until then, hope
Also,
you
we've been
guys.
streaming it.
Oh yeah. Also, I completely forgot about that. We'll plug it right
Yeah,
here on the
we've been
screen.
streaming it a little bit. So we do stream over at Accursed Brewski on Twitch. If you ever want to come check us out, feel free. I do a lot of the streaming over there. I stream 3 days a week. I do Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Usually I start around 6 p.m. Central. Azzy is going to be streaming a little bit more now that Monster Hunter's coming out. So come and join us.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth checking out. It's the same vibes that you get with our videos there. Oftentimes you'll find both of us together, if not one of us in the chat. So definitely come check it out, guys. But hope you guys like the video. Subscribe, leave a comment, let us know your guys' thoughts on the game, and we will catch you guys later.
Peace.